You're listening to Ask the Expert with Andrew Johnston.
Listeners, welcome to this week's Fast Facts episode. For this one, you might be able to hear it a little bit in the background. We have really good tools anymore that eliminates some background noise, but you still might be able to hear it. And we're recording at the Chicago Midwinter Conference. And I thought it might be a little bit appropriate because I'm here to do a quick episode on what you should do when you visit a big show like this. So the Chicago Midwinters, the Greater New Yorks, the Yankees, the Hinman down in Atlanta, CDA, Star of the North. I think TDA is a pretty big one. I mean, there's some really, really, really big ones. I know TDA is a state one, but I'm thinking more of regional ones. But I think there's definitely some tips that you need to know if you're going to something like this. So let's get into it. Number one, pre-con recon, right? So pre-conference reconnaissance. This year, and maybe last year too, but this is the first year I actually noticed it, they didn't print the materials for things like the exhibit hall floor layout and all of the course guide, things like that. They have switched to an all digital platform, or sometimes they'll have an app, or sometimes both. You can go on their website or the app. So be sure to look at those tools before you go and plan your days pretty much to the hour, maybe not to the minute, but there's a lot of great CE courses. So you want to make sure you prioritize the ones that you want to get to. But the exhibit hall is massive at these events. And it's great to have a game plan for, okay, these are the booths I want to do. This is the order that I want to do them in. So we're not backtracking all the way across the floor. Because again, it is pretty big. And I actually totally forgot. One other thing too is when you're doing this, you need to focus on packing the right things, your appropriate dress for the events or the CE, the right shoes for walking the show floors. If you wanted to go out, if you wanted to see a show or whatever it might be, you're going to have a whole range of clothes that would be appropriate for the situation. Last night, for example, when I was walking around, we went to a dinner and it was at a nicer place. And then afterwards, I decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and walk home. It was 11 degrees last night. And so make sure that you have the warm clothes for those types of situations and then layers in other situations. So even if it's, let's say we're in Arizona and it's really hot outside, but then in the course that you're taking, they keep that conference room super freezing. You're going to want to have layers to be able to be comfortable in those situations. So number two, see the city. This is a big mistake that people don't do. They come in, they do their courses, they stay at the conference, they do the networking just right there at the conference, and that's it. I think a lot of people travel a pretty decent distance to get to these shows, and many of these cities have a lot to offer. Chicago, for example, man, they're not paying me to do this, guys. Chicago's not paying me. They should. That'd be great. But Chicago, for example, is known for pizza and architecture, but there's also little hidden gems. One of the things that my wife and I found a long time ago was a Chicago History Museum. Fascinating. It's only a couple hours, you can get through it all. And then there's another one, if it floats your boat, there's stuff like the Ice Cream Museum. They just have a lot of different things. Some of it's quirky, some of it's unique, but some of it's also mainstream. And then number three, start asking your friends early for networking events. Most of the time, there are events listed on the conference page and in the app, but that's usually just a starting point. So there's the party, then there's the after party, then there's the after party for networking. And if you don't know where to start, especially if you're new to all of this, because you're not going to be told of all of the after parties and the after parties, just go to that first one. And then when you're there, you have to get over the shyness factor and you have to talk to people that you don't already know. And just ask them hey, what's going on after this? What other things have you heard about? Maybe it's not later on that night, but maybe it's the next night that there's a networking event that you wanted to go to with the people that you want to network with. Dental folk, man, they like to party. And so to that end, I guess, bonus tip number 4, just stay hydrated. That's really important. All right, everyone, thanks for listening. I hope you have the best time at that next regional conference that you go to. It's definitely something that you need to experience if you haven't already. And with that, have a great week, everyone.
Thank you for listening to Fast Facts Ask the Expert. If you have a topic you'd like one of our experts to answer, simply email me, Andrew, at ataleoftwohygienist.com, and we will get it on the air as soon as possible. Thanks for listening.